On today's episode with TUIJA SEIPELL, a Canadian keynote speaker and business advisor who works with brands like Nike, Harley-Davidson, and more, we covered so many great questions for startup founders. For example, why we always recommend to start by giving yourself a question, why? Well, watch the episode and you will get it. We also talked about how to make customers love you and your product, emotional buying, and sales. Apart from this, we touched a really sensitive topics of why women lack of self-confidence and what should we do with it. So ladies, don't miss this conversation. Passionate people who face some type of the problems and they're trying to seek for the full solution, maybe to introducing a new idea, startup or so on, but they really don't know where to start. And there's so many, I remember myself at the beginning of Zanu, there were so many things and you feel so overwhelmed and you don't know what to do. Yeah. And I remember that we sat with my now husband, the co-founder previously, and we've been talking why we are doing this. And I remember reading a book, Simon Sinek, about the why, even drawing those cycles,
Oh, I'm not wearing that ring, but I have a ring that is a question mark. Because my mom used to say that everybody else's children got past the question machine age, the 2.5, 3. But TUIJA got stuck in it forever. I've always been, because why is the only question you need to answer.
Yeah, so I thought maybe we can a bit, elaborate why for those, let's say, founders or passionate people, why is so important.
Today's episode is called Why. Okay, good. Let's go. So
when you're starting the business, the first question is why. Okay, so what should I do then? Should I ask myself why I'm launching it, why this idea came to me, why I'm starting this? Or should I somehow formalize it, write notes? What should I do?
I don't think you should overthink it at the beginning, because in the beginning, to find out what your path really is, you have to move forward. You have to go from step to step. And then you start realizing, okay, that doesn't work. Okay, I hate this. Oh, this is good. And then at some point, when you start sort of feeling like this could be something, then you have to ask why, so that you don't accidentally follow that route just because it seems to be the easy one to go or the easiest one to go, if it isn't your why. And one of the things I've seen a lot in the startup world and in the technology world is that people then go where the investors want them to go. And before you know, you hate your own company, you hate your own business, your idea isn't even there anymore, or you hate what it has turned out to be, and you feel burned out and you feel like a failure because you didn't have the guts to say, okay, yes, they're willing to give me the money. Is this where I want to go? So right at the beginning, don't ask, don't overthink. Just keep going, one step at a time. But then at some point, before you give your whole life to it, decide why you are doing it. And it doesn't have to be the same why all the time. Why also changes. I certainly have noticed that in my own life, that what was why in the beginning, when I was much younger, isn't the why that would satisfy me today. So you have to sort of question your why once in a while and stop and say, okay, here we go. This is what I feel good about. This is what I'm stressed about. This is where I feel I'm always failing or I'm always coming up short. Because when that happens, when you feel like you're always coming up short, that's a pattern. So it could also be something in you, in your life, in your personal makeup that forces you to hit your head in that same wall over and over and over. So the world is trying to teach you something and you're not learning.
And you're not maybe letting in.
You're not learning. So, it gets worse until you admit it. So I tend to say that you just be open and have courage, because you don't have to be crazy. You don't have to be crazy courageous. But certainly if there was one thing, and I don't regret anything, I'm not one of those regretters, I've made my own choices and here I am rather happy. But the fact that if you don't let yourself just make a few crazy decisions, just jump, even if you don't have any clue how it's going to go, just go. Prepare yourself, but go. You'll find out. And usually what happens, certainly what's happened in my life, is that you find out wasn't a big deal, and all these years I've been so scared of it. It's like, oh, holy Moses, what else have I missed?
Yeah.
Usually it's fear. In my life, it's usually fear. The why is fear of something. And also I've noticed that as I talk to people about customer experience, I talk to companies about how to reach their customers, approach their customers, understand them better. You always have to understand what the fear is. It isn't like I'm telling you to peddle the fear, but in every decision there is a fear somewhere behind it. And once you get to the fear, now you start to open the knots and get there. So don't be afraid of the fear. Fear is normal. I'm one of the most afraid persons in the world, and yet if you asked my friends or my relatives or my cousins, which I have tons of, they'd all say I'm the bravest person there is. She's not afraid of anything. And I'm saying, no, I'm actually afraid of everything.
Yeah.
I just don't let it stop me.
Yeah. And that's so important.
Yeah. It's my partner Ted, who is a Canadian, who North Americans and certainly Canadians are by definition positive. They believe in the future. The world is not a scary place. Tomorrow the sun will come out tomorrow. Whereas us Finns, I was born in Finland, although I've lived away for 40 years now, are negative. Everything is and probably will go wrong. And in order for you to avoid falling flat on your face and making a fool of yourself, you better not go there.
My even mother taught me this.
Yeah.
And then this pattern follows you through all of your
Oh yeah, my mom used to say, what is your problem? You're not happy with anything. And I said no, because she felt I should have settled. With the job, with the husband, with the country, with the whatever. And it's like, what? I'm 27, I'm not gonna stop now. Like this is it's a big company, I get a good salary, I travel the world, yes, my husband is an architect, and my life is a shithole. I don't like it.
But it takes a lot of courage, to even admit it to yourself, and even more courage to overcome fear of making a change.
Yeah, and my partner Ted, it took us a long time to understand that we came at the world from different perspectives, just by where we were born. And so we now joke about it, because I remember thinking, what a naive idiot. Doesn't he see all the things that could go wrong? Like, oh God, he's crazy. He's crazy. We worked together a long time. And he would go and propose an absolutely crazy project and say, I know how to do it. I said, you have no idea how to do it. We'll figure it out. And oh God, let's hope we don't get it. And of course we get it, because they understand his confidence. And then after a while, we've done it. So I would laugh at his naive confidence, and I almost belittled it. It was almost like you're stupid because you don't realize all the different things that how things can go wrong. And then he was sort of laughing at me like, poor woman, within 30 seconds of any idea, you will have 7, 8 different ways how it will most likely go wrong.
But when you're talking about this, I see my husband and myself in the same position all the time. And I almost also thinking that something is wrong with him. He's just naive. He thinks that world is so pretty, and I think the world is always trying to do something for me, and I just have to fight.
It's dangerous. It's dangerous. For my partner Ted, world is not dangerous. For me, the world is dangerous. In fact, my therapist way back when used to say that you seem to be one of those babies who was dropped into the cabbage patch that was not very friendly. So meaning that the world was hostile in ways that hurt me right from the beginning, perhaps even before.
Before, yeah.
Because you sense everything. So,
Sure.
so you know, it doesn't have to be whatever the therapists say, but the more I live life, the more I understand, yep, I've had to work all these years to teach myself that the world is not out there to get me.
Yeah.
Life is not there to catch me doing something wrong. It's the other way around, that life is there for me to have if I'm just open enough and let the world give me what it wants to give. And yes, there things go wrong, but I don't have to give my energy to that.
I 100% agree, and I even sometimes, thinking with all of my thinking and overthinking and the fear and everything, I stop the universe to help me.
I know.
And then I try to work with myself actually for financial security, for creativity, for everything, not to block the flow.
Yep. No, it is you become your own worst enemy because you think everybody else is the enemy. It's even like when I started speaking on big stages, I remember reading, somebody said, remember that they are not there to see you fail. They actually want you to succeed. They are there because they want to be there. They are there to hear what you have to say. So enjoy it and let them enjoy it. Don't block it. And it's like, and I was always thinking it's like there are these angry wolves, waiting to eat me alive and laugh at me, and
that's
I'm
actually what I think as well.
Yeah, making a total fool of myself, and it's like
judge me,
and I don't look right, and I don't say the right thing, and I'm really an empty head. I have nothing useful to say. It's like, oh God, stop it. Why can I be the only one in the world who think that way? Everybody around me thinks I'm great. Everybody thinks I'm great, and I think I'm a complete loser. Or every day it's almost like, let's see if I survive. What a waste of life.
Of course.
I'm not that way anymore, but I still, and there's a good side to that. It doesn't matter what size the audience is. For me, for example, I've spoken to 7,500 people, and I've spoken to a room full of 4. Same thing. Make no difference. I'm always nervous the night before, and my thing is always, in fact, I find the small groups more intense than the big ones. Because with the big ones, I feel, there I am. Like now I can give them what I have. It's like, whoa, this is cool. But with the small groups, you really have to focus on every one of them getting something useful out of it. So it's closer to your family, actually, that sort of,
interesting.
You can't fail them. So I find they are very interesting, and I love doing both. I love doing the workshops where you have a really intense group of people in one room or on one screen or whatever, but they take everything out of me. It's like, you're so exhausted at the end of it's a good kind of exhaustion, but I actually find them more demanding.
Interesting, very interesting. If we're, for example, coming back to the startup world,
did we veer off the topic?
But I think it's very important to hear this personal experience, because I do believe that a lot of people will relate to it. I personally relate to pretty much every word you said, so I think there are a lot of people.
We're not that special.
And I know that for a lot of people, it's good to know that there is a solution, that you don't have to feel this, for the rest of your life, that you can make a decision to change this, thinking. But we know that 90% of all startups fail. And you met a lot of startups, and you advised for many of them, and probably you saw a lot of ones that are succeeded and the ones that basically lost the game. What was the main maybe things, for the ones that lost the game? Maybe there is a pattern.
If it were that way, it would be nice, But if you say Google the Shark Tank or something, and you start looking at, how people have made all kinds of statistics about how many of those whom the sharks liked, how many have actually turned into a profitable business, how many have not, how many have the females invested in, the males, the whatever. What I think is that the key is, and I talked about that today at TechChill on my storytelling topic, is that you have to be real to yourself. Because if you somehow fake it, if you are trying to be something you are not, it will eat you up. It will eat you. I've seen it happen to a really good people where they have then gone where the money is coming from, and then they realize, I don't like this at all. This is not my life. This is not my startup. This is not my idea. I don't like these people that I'm with. So what I advise is to be as real as you can, as much you as you can, straight from the start, because the investors are humans too. So if they don't like you, they won't give you money. If they like you, now you are more likely, if they relate to you, then they are more likely to be the types of people that you can actually work with. It's not the money that is important, it's the people.
Yeah. But actually, yesterday I interviewed one of the investors from Rockstart, Michael, and he said the same, that for investors it's really important to feel the honesty.
Yeah. Yep.
Because they said that you can talk like a nice words and so on, but we feel if it's really honest or not.
It's obvious.
And then after all, when we feel it, we just we'll call you back.
Yeah. No, it's actually quite obvious. It's funny, and you'd almost and I have done that too, being the nasty little me that I am. I've taken some people aside who have done their pitch. There's no soul in it. And then when you ask questions, they don't really have the answers because they've sort of learned it from somewhere else or someone else. And it's almost like I've taken some of them aside and said, you maybe should reconsider. Just think of, is this really what you want to do? And I somehow sensed you are not really behind it. Some will be really offended, which tells me exactly where I have hit. And some will say, oh, thank God.
You told me.
It's almost like I'm releasing them from the burden that they are trying too hard to be something that isn't a natural environment. Because if you're giving it everything, then you better like it. It's not going to be easy, but and if you are there just for the money, if you are there just to quickly make a lot of money, then I can't help you, because that's not my life. That's not how I think. So I'd much rather help people who have some other purpose than getting rich. Certainly you have to make money, but if that's that's not a goal. I
think we're still coming back to the question why, because you can have a why just to earn money. It's a short term, let's call, why. And sometimes if you have some family problems or something, I think it's good just to know that your main focus is, money. Okay, do this, but be honest with yourself and with others. If you have the deeper, why, the investors, the other founders, the partners can really feel it.
Yeah. I've seen a number. There's one in particular, I remember, she was so tenacious. She kept going and going and going. And I could see there was no soul in it, but she was so defensive, and you could not get her off the rails because she had decided. And every single conversation we would have, she would bring up the fact that she's exit, is her idea, and then she's going to make, and then she's going to do. And I'm thinking, holy Moses, you wasted 3-4 years in this already, and nobody's going to give you the money because you are not in it. And she never did get the money. So I would say that to save your own soul and your own heart and your own life and your health, your sort of mental balance, you should just do things that you believe in and nothing else. Otherwise, it's just a waste of a good life.
Yeah, for sure. And we not have a lot of, we
There's
don't
no
even
spare.
know how many years do we have.
Exactly.
So, what we now talked is that what are the main things that startups, let's say, lead them to fail? What would be the ones that help them to succeed? Maybe the most important ones, for example.
I come back, I'm like a broken record, I come back to the fact that if you love it, if your soul is in it, if your heart is in it, you will most likely succeed one way or another.
Yeah.
And success may start looking something different. In the beginning, you may think that success means this, that I'm going to, get that much money, and we're going to be this big, and we're going to have so many outlets, so many customers, so many, users, or whatever it is. And then after a while, you realize that's not really the goal. The goal is that we have this little niche market, we have those beautiful customers, we are developing this beautiful gem with them. Let the process make it happen, so that, like I said again today, is that rather than keep adding and adding and adding to the unfinished process, keep taking away. Test yourself, like how raw can you be? How basic, how core can you be? How much can you take away and then come, like, there's enough people who believe in those same things. So if you muddy it with too many options, too many ideas, because the world is full of ideas, there's a million people who will give you ideas of what else you should be doing with this. And I'm saying guard the core with your life.
Yeah. And I think when you're, as you mentioned, you're mudding, the core all around, you might lose the core. And basically you don't even see the main thing, what drives you.
You don't have a why anymore. You don't know what your why is.
And that's why it's very important to come back and ask yourself why.
Why? And it's also like, why do the customer, the user, the client, the buyer, the whatever you call them, patients, clients, why do they love this? You need to know why you love this, and you need to know why they love it. And the closer those match, and it doesn't mean that you have to be like your customers, because that doesn't always help. I've seen a ton of startups where you have a bunch of people who are each other's clones. The whole board is exactly the same. They drive the same cars, they dress the same, they go to the same holidays, they look like clones. So, how could that give you any kind of options? So, but it can work that way too. But the only client, the only customer these people can have is exactly like themselves. Because you have to see yourself in that mirror. So it doesn't mean that let's say that you wanted to develop an app that will help seniors. You don't have to be a senior to be good at that, but you have to have real empathy. You really have to understand what it is like. You have to interview enough people, you have to listen to them, you have to really put your soul, understand their why. Why do they need this? Because otherwise you are just sort of shooting in the forest and hoping there's a moose running right there where your bullet goes. That's not what hunting is like.
And actually, my next question is about what we just described, is that how to make customers not only like or try your product, but how to make them love you. And in our case, we have a monthly subscription of pet food, and we see that customers are coming to us like for 24 months already, and the lifetime value, it's amazing, and so on. And but we put a lot of effort to connect with them. It's not only, okay, you buy with a discount and we don't care about you anymore. You have to not only build a relationship, but you have to love each other and support you. And if they have any bad day, they write to us that my dog is pooping in the wrong way. So we are the ones who are, send me the picture. I will tell you what happened, try this and that. So how to make, the customers love your product, your company, and love you?
You don't make anything. As you know, you can't make anybody love you. Let's say that there's a guy that you'd really fancy and you are trying to make him love you. That's a very short road. I wouldn't recommend you go there. So I know you don't mean that, but the point is that by being open to hearing what it is that their concerns are, and by really living their life and really learning from them and really letting them also help you, like have enough of them talk to you, have, go to different places and have groups of 12 or 15 of them, sit down and talk. You will hear so many things you didn't know. Also, understand what else they do with their lives. Their dogs may be important to them, but they are not all of their lives. Sure. So when you find enough things that are common to a good number of them, they all go to that one. They all read this. They all listen to that. That's the more you relate to what their life is like, the more you can mirror that and let them see themselves in this world and be open and talk about dog poo.
Yeah.
Who is going to talk about dog poo if not you? So, veterinarians maybe, and then bring in people like veterinarians and nutritionists and let them help and add value so that it isn't just dog food at a discount, it's a lifestyle that we share.
Yeah, we actually, that what you just mentioned, we do that, and sometimes the other startups are saying you put a lot of effort. You're not gonna scale this company because you're just putting too much. It's not like you're selling tons of food and that's all. But at the same time, it's the person will buy a food once. And now we have a family that support us, and we do the same. We even have a calls with the customers, and we ask how they feel, what they're working. Maybe they have some issues, and if we need help, we are now developing a new packaging. We call them and we ask, do you think this and that? Do you think that is important on the packaging? So the relationship and I think the trust is very important between the two parts.
And also, you can think of, if all they want is food for their dog to eat, there are a ton of companies that can sell that. You are not needed for that. But if you want a good price for a good product at a full price, not discount, you do need to earn their trust. They will not trust you, and they will not see why it is that they should pay more. But when it becomes a lifestyle product, I'm an Apple person, so I have only Mac and iPhone and iPad and all that, and it's not really a religion, but it's certainly, I'm not going to veer off. So there are a lot of things like that sort of fit your lifestyle. And I think yours is clearly a lifestyle product. It isn't dog food, it's a lifestyle product.
And actually, we have more than the dog food. We are now building an app that helps to prevent your dog from the future illnesses, from diabetes, joint issues, and so on. So it's, of course, we're helping and building like one spot, where you can come and just ask for help, for sure. I'm always heard about the emotional buying, that women are the ones that are the worst in emotional buying. They see the dress, they feel the emotion, and they buy. But actually, I do believe that everyone, what they're buying, they feel the emotion first.
Of course they do.
And they are emotion driven.
The men don't need the Mercedeses or the Porsches. It's totally emotional. Nobody needs one.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter how it might save, the gas or even, it's not most saving it, but
it's laughable when somebody buys a Mercedes. I had a girlfriend who bought a Mercedes, and the excuses she had to make why she bought it. I said, do you hear yourself? No man would ever have to make those excuses. Like, buy the effing Mercedes and stop apologizing, if that's what's important to you. So it's that kind of thing that it's easy for men to belittle women's sort of emotional approach. And yes, women have emotions more on top. That's biology. That's how we are meant to be, because we are to keep the nest happy. That's what women's job is, and men's is to go out there and kill the beasts and the enemy. You know, when you go back far enough, you see why we are the way we are. But men are just as emotional in terms of when they make their buying decisions. They like to pretend that they are not, but that's not the case. Just look at their behavior and you can tell. So I think the lifestyle choices that we make when we have the opportunity, when it isn't a question of survival or how cheap can you get it, then you have to create that trusting relationship, and it only comes from being truly open and truly interested. And yes, it isn't easy to scale up something that you built from your heart, but you know, sometimes scaling up just means that you get more money, you sell better products, you make more money, you get more customers, you get more perhaps products that belong in the same family, meet the same needs, values, you know, dog beds, dog clothes, dog toys, dog gifts. You know, just look at the North American pet market. It's billions. There are dog spas, there are dog everything. Everything there is for a human, there is for a dog. It is getting a bit ridiculous. So you have to know how far you want to go. How far you want to go.
But what about the businesses? So how the business owners, the product team, for example, can use this emotional buying, you know? Maybe there are some rules what you have to do when you're, you know, market the product.
I don't think there are any other rules except giving them what you feel they need, and then testing it with them often enough so that you know you're not imagining it. And when it comes to things like packaging, I've done a lot of packaging projects and branding projects and naming projects. And one thing people fail to do over and over again when they talk about packaging is to actually physically have people try it. Like, how does it open? Can I open it? Can I close it? Does it close properly? It's like, or, you know, does it fall down and empty? You know, like there it is on the floor, right straight from the beginning. Like basic tactical things, not just how pretty it is and what lettering and what font and what color. We go crazy about that. More important, how does it function? What if you made the most functional dog food bag or box that there is? What if it's no longer a bag? What if it is something else? So be radical. There's a lot of room in there to be radical in the packaging area by letting the customer tell you what doesn't work in the others, not just your product, but in the others, you know. And I stopped using that because it kept doing that, and it's oh, show me. So always go back to the customer and let them tell. It's not always that they will know what the next step is. You can't go to a customer and say that, you know, what will you want in the future? People don't know. I don't know. It's your job to come up with what I will want in the future. And the only way you can do that is by listening to me, by observing.
So we can even say that the same emotional buying is like really dependent on the same, like honesty, trust, on taking care. If I feel that the brand, the product, the team of, you know, the startup is taking care of me, that they do really like honestly care about my dog, about, I don't know, my kid, about me or something. When you think about it just in your personal life, it's the same principles, you know. It's the same principles to love others, to love your family, to trust
we don't have to create the world. It's already created.
It's
we
not
just
like
have to
something different.
No. There are days when you think that some people have totally gone mad and they really do think it's another world, and they really do think humans' evolution is so slow. It takes thousands of years for evolution to move on. Humans evolve really slowly. So the basics, and it's almost like even talking about emotional buying, I believe there is nothing else but emotional buying. Every single buying decision is based on emotion, even the ones that are based on necessity, on this is the only thing I can afford. There's a lot of emotion there too. Like, tell me what sort of buying is not emotional, even if it's just punching a button at a casino website. That's emotional. That's emotional. That's there's your addiction right there. If that's not emotion, then what is? So I don't really know what emotional buying is, because I don't think there is any other kind.
What about when you have so many, tangible and intangible things in a business? Maybe some client calls you and says a bad review. Some of them telling you, it's a great review. You see that email open rates are crazy good and so on. But basically, all of this is a data, And we had a lot of times, I wouldn't say I failed, but we had some challenges. It's not only about the data, but how you take an insights or how you interpret the data. So what would be the maybe suggestions for other startups how to work with data? Not only the CPA levels are good enough, but what can you really get out of it and how?
Yeah, it's funny because one of my slides that I use a lot, didn't use it today because today's topic wasn't that and I had so little time. One of my slides is, we are drowning in data and thirsting for insights. Meaning that there is no lack of data, but what does it all mean? Why? There we come again. So yes, you can start hunting for NPS or some other indication. I value much more the ability to really hear and see and understand. You can think of something like hotels. I spend half of my year in hotels because I travel so much. So I'm a professional hotel dweller. So I've seen them all, good, bad, and indifferent. And there's one guy, I almost died laughing. He said, actually in an interview, I read it in an article and then I met him later. He said that most of our customer contact is online. This is a hotel. Think of it. Humans come in the door, they go up to the floor, they stay in, they sleep there. Most of our customer contact is online. People book online and then they check out online. And I'm thinking, you poor guy, you are in the innkeeping business and you have missed the point. That you have the benefit of having real people walk in the door to meet your real people for whom you pay, whose salaries you pay. And you have the audacity, the stupidity to go and say that all of your customer contact is online. And I'm thinking, oh God, you've given away the two places where you could actually really make a difference, make an emotional connection. The welcome and the goodbye. Thank you for coming. Thank you for staying with us. You've given them away. So why would I come back? What's the emotional connection? Like, nobody's loyal to walls. So there is always that fear, and I'm not against data. I think the good thing is to use data as a sort of indication of, okay, there's too many negatives now, or what is happening? Why is it doing this? But never ever think that tells you the whole story. Because people, they lie.
Oh yeah.
They don't give you the answers. You only get answers from certain kinds of people. People say one thing and then they go and do another thing, which is why I'm not all that keen on even NPS, because, would you recommend? I always say no, because I don't recommend anything, that's not my job.
Or you just don't want to waste your time. And
So, if you start relying too much on that, you are not getting the picture, and especially when you are a young company compared to the big guys in the same type of business who've been, hoovering data for years and years and years. You are right at the doorstep of that business, but what your benefit is and what makes you stronger than the big guys is that you have the flexibility to hear the silent comments, which you will lose when you get bigger. You will lose the ability when you get on the stock market. Now you have a completely different master, and that's the shareholder. So while we have this opportunity to hear and listen and understand and empathize, we should take that. So I'm not belittling data, but I'm saying that it can become a burden when you don't know what to do with it. So I would say I haven't yet seen a company any size where I couldn't sit down with the guys in charge of collecting the data and actually understand that most of the time the reason why the data isn't useful is in the questions we ask or in the way we collect.
In the way we collect, that's, I think, the very important.
So that's again where you have to understand the why. Why are we asking? Why are we asking here? Why are we asking at this point in the process? Because so often you get the answer that you asked for rather than the answer that you need. So question the questions.
Well, I remember our example. We have a pretty great churn rate, but we noticed that the churn rate is a bit bigger than usual, And of course, you're using data as a tool, So it immediately triggered something, Okay, something is wrong, And I've noticed in myself a fear to ask our customers why they're leaving, because I thought that I'm afraid to hear that bad, And then I thought that, oh my God, these type of things stops me from improving something to get a better insights, learn from it, do with the product, the service, the delivery or whatever, and move on and lower the churn rate. And I remember this the moment when I'm even shocked and oh my God, this is the fear that plays in such an interesting way.
And
with data interpretation.
And also you can't really go bugging a customer who's left you for they just I hate these people. Okay, fine, there are those, and you can't turn them all. But one of the slides I use a lot also says learn to love negative comments, because they are the opportunity for you to really go in and say, okay, now we failed. Dear, darling customer, it looks like we have failed. Can you tell us, will you please give us a few more moments of your life and tell us where did we go wrong? Most of the time people are so willing to help. They are so willing to tell you, even if you can't get them back, but you realize, okay, we can't market to people like that. We will never reach them, or we won't make that mistake again. So yes, learn to love every negative comment. Do not be afraid. And there are always those who say, like, go as far away as you can, like you're a useless bunch of people. That's fine. You can't please everybody. That's okay. You are not there to please everybody. Your product cannot please everybody. But I totally understand it's awful. It's awful when you're like one of my consultant friends years ago said that when I started doing consulting work, and he said, you have to learn this thing, TUIJA, that people don't want to hear that their baby is ugly. Meaning that as a consultant, you often have to deliver a negative thing. So the thing is, you have to sell it. You have to emotionally connect with the customer, with the client, so that you can help them without making them feel like you are telling them their baby is ugly. So I have to take my own medicine in order to help people and make sure that I'm not insulting, because I don't know everything. I've often said, and I truly believe it, that I don't have the answers. You have to have the answers. I just have a lot of questions. But if you have really good questions, you can
get a really great answers,
You'll get the answers you need. The world will give you the answers.
I know that we dedicated this episode more for the startup owners, the ones that are starting their business, but I facing, as a woman, and I started the startup world pretty early when I was 21. So I faced many fierce self-doubts, and whoa, like I don't even know the pool of emotions and what I had to overcome. And I know that there are a lot of other, women who are on the bridge of starting something, or maybe they already had that fear in their head, saying, okay, it's not for you, and maybe they kind of, okay, I will let this idea go. So what would you maybe advise, for women who are self-doubting, have self-confidence, or just, dealing with their own thoughts?
Yeah, it's actually quite annoying how much we women doubt ourselves. It really annoys me. It really annoys me, like really smart, good women who have every right and every reason to go and bravely do what they do. They go around apologizing for everything and explaining. Oh, it's like, quit explaining and start and one might say, who am I to say, because I've gone through the whole thing many, many times, and I'm the doubter of all doubters, but it just is so annoying, because it's also very exhausting for somebody from the outside to try to help a person like that, because it's almost like an addiction, this insecurity.
Yeah.
And of course we could go back to the advertising world and the fact that the world has endeavored to make women inferior, and church, business, the makeup world, they all work hard to make women feel unhappy and dissatisfied with themselves.
Not enough,
Not enough, have to do this, have to do that, whatever. And it's like, just quit doubting yourself, quit complaining, quit explaining. If you find yourself in groups of people where you keep explaining yourself, you have to ask, am I explaining because I can't stop explaining, because it's an addiction I have and somehow I feel I have to, or is it actually a group of people that I should not even bother with, for whom I have to explain the very basic things. So, and that has to do with your personal life too. We all know that. But if you are in a relationship where you have to explain your comings and goings and your doings and your behavior, you are in the wrong relationship. It isn't you who is wrong, it's the relationship that is wrong. So it's the same in the business. I do understand that and I do empathize, but I think women should really catch themselves, like teach yourself to somehow, breathe in the confidence that you were born with, and just stop doubting yourself. I sometimes give pep talks to myself in the mirror, in the bathroom, in the morning. It's like, everything is fine. You are totally perfect. This is so cool. You are doing so well. Like, go TUIJA, this is good. And it's like, just get yourself mentally in that frame of mind and just go. Just effing go. The worst. And then one thing that I've learned that is really useful is to think of what is the worst thing that could happen.
Yeah.
And often that's not so bad. And most of the time the worst thing does not happen. So why do we even bother? Why do we even bother? Men just go and do. We sit there and rationalize. They were saying, I read somewhere, that if there is a job opening, and there's like 6 different qualifications that it asks, women will not apply unless they meet all of them and more. Men will apply if they are sort of almost one, And like, how is that real? And do we actually then, as women, do we raise our daughters like that? That's even more of a responsibility. That do we raise our daughters as teachers, as coaches, as mothers, as grandmothers, as sisters? Do we actually encourage that kind of thing? We should just shut up. it's dangerous. It stops the world from getting better, because I think that the world does need female energy.
That's what I want. Just it was on my tongue, on the tip of my tongue, because all the business world, all of the the ecosystem that the strong, let's say, women are, we are more like in the men world a lot of times, and then we think that we have to become like more like men, and we carry this man energy inside, and we then think, I'm not happy, and then we might face anxiety, we might face depression, with self-doubt, self-confidence issues, and this is like the wheel of a bad life, and then we're getting angry on men because we think that they did that, but even though that this is our own decision, how we want to feel, how we want to approach life.
And I think the world needs more women, and I think we women should not change to become like men. And I love men, so it isn't like I'm thinking, whooshu, it's all, we both are needed, and it isn't, you don't have to beat down men to be a better woman.
That's true.
And a better woman is somebody who is open, who is willing to help, who is willing to be herself without apologizing, who will raise daughters who are perfectly okay the way they are, and encourage them to just go out there and jump off the cliff, because there's going to be something is going to hold them. The world will hold you. The world will hold you.
I know that we are probably spending too much time, maybe you don't have a lot of it, but my last question, that is, I think it's very important for me personally, is that I faced the depression and the anxiety that I had, and sometimes you feel that nothing is gonna work. This is like the last chance, or sometimes you don't even want to live anymore, I've been at that situation. So what do you think can help, an insight to sparkle that maybe energy or belief that we can change the moment how we feel, that we can feel happy, we can feel calm, we can feel motivated with our life?
I certainly have. I haven't been, to the point where I didn't want to live. Where I was at around age 37, I realized that I've, changed countries, changed continents, changed husbands, changed work, changed cars, changed everything, and I still feel the same. Okay, where are we going with this? Okay, I've tried everything and we are still feeling the same way. We're still feeling like we're not enough and we're failing, and I don't know what I want, and why do I find out? I remember saying, when I then finally realized I need to go to a therapist and let somebody give me how do I sound? Why do I sound like that? And what I found out is the feeling that I was escaping from was the feeling that I was vulnerable, that I was really gentle, that I was really emotionally really aware and alert, that I was actually probably overly sensitive to a lot of things, and have been. Not that overly is a bad word. I think it's a good thing. For me, it's my best quality. I was in one sense happy, but in one sense I was feeling like, where is this all going? It just felt like I kept switching. And I was really lucky. I found a therapist who, right from the beginning, he said that, I'm not going to give you any answers. I'm just going to be your mirror. And that's exactly what I needed. So I actually had to mother myself again, re-mother, re-love the little TUIJA, because that's where it all comes from. We can go all the way back to the childhood and all that, but we need to love ourselves the way we are, and don't keep going. Seek help. Whether it's your grandmother or somebody who is a bit older who has life experience, just go to them and say, I don't know what to do with my life. You will be so surprised how much you will get back. So don't be afraid to ask for help, and don't be ashamed. That's also one thing that women feel, that they shouldn't even my mother, when I told her that I'm going to therapy, she felt really insulted. It was almost like my daughter is crazy now. You know what
crazy
next?
is the word.
It's like how do you think I got?
Oh, you are the one that needs help. You know.
Well, we all need help, but
exactly.
It doesn't matter where it comes from. You don't have to turn out and say, you know, I hate my mother. That's not. I don't hate her. She did the best she could with the horrible background she had. So, you know, amazingly, she managed to at least raise 2 daughters who are healthy and happy and whatever. But, you know, I needed much more cuddling. I needed much more hugging. I needed much more gentleness and that kind of love. And I've had to earn that myself back from myself. And also that meant that I finally found a partner who gives me that. I finally let somebody into my life who wasn't afraid of my vulnerability, who wasn't afraid of my feelings, who gives me what I need and also takes what I have to give. So it's not an easy road, but it's in no way hopeless. Nothing is hopeless. Go for help. Always go for help.
I ask because, you know, in Lithuania we have like a tragical numbers of young people getting, you know, suicide and so on. We are the number 1 in Europe, actually.
Oh dear.
And young people, you know, 16, 17, 18 years old, and we have some type of the volunteering and so on, but something has to, you know, drastically change even in families or educational system and so on. So that's why I openly talk about it, because a lot of people, as you mentioned, they think that they're crazy, they feel ashamed.
And it's hopeless. That's when you get into trouble, when you think there's no hope.
Deeper with these thoughts, you know, when they're getting on top of everything what you feel. So I think it's important to ask for help, and if you don't have a family member, so there are a lot of other institutions that can help you, where people are really coming with the honest, you know, want to help you. So
and what you find out when you go out there, and I've heard that from many people, is that, you know, you go to some sort of therapy or some sort of help, whether it's your church or your school or your whatever, is that the biggest thing that helped them was to realize that there are tons of people like me.
That you're not alone.
Like I'm not crazy. Or if I am, the world is full of us crazy. So And so what? If you're crazy, you're crazy. Fine. The world needs us too. So just go for help. Don't wait. Don't wait for going, and then just be willing to help yourself, and don't think you have to struggle alone.
That's
you
very
don't.
important.
You don't. And then all of us who can, we should help others. Try to give others what we have and be open and sort of, if not help, but at least point where help can be had. Because young people should not be hopeless. That's scary.
That is very scary.
I didn't know that.
Well, thank you so much. I know that on that happy note, but I think, you know, even though that's not that happy note, it's life, you know.
It's important.
It's very important. And actually, I've talked with pretty much all of the guests that I talked today, and they all told me the same, that the first thing you have to do, you just have to talk with someone. It doesn't matter whom, you know.
Absolutely.
You just have to talk. That's the number
Get it
one.
out.
Everyone said the same. So
Get
the
it out.
ones that really think that they need help, you just need to, you know, try to talk. And
you
be
talk,
open with
and
others.
you will get help. That is definitely going to happen.
Thank you. Thank you. It was really honest and deep conversation.
Thank you.